Old people will talk about the Guanche arriving in the archipelago some 2,500 years ago, precisely at a beach not far from this cave. I'd like to show you our artistic creations first. We use rocky surfaces to sculpt abstract geometrical, figurative and alphabetical motifs. The representations we see now come from Lanzarote, the easternmost of the islands. In the two of them, Libyan Berber and Latin Canarian writing are combined. Along with Fuerteventura, this is the only place where the latter has been documented. The man kneeling down and engraving, holding an obsidian chip in his hand and working on the rock is Tegastay. We are now facing the petroglyphs found in the island of Fuerteventura, where we can confirm the presence of two types of writing, alongside rectangular and rectilinear motifs, as well as icons of human feet. That's Princess Dasil, Mensabin Como's daughter. This area is allocated to the island of Gran Canaria, the second largest by surface area in our archipelago. Here, we have reproduced part of the engravings and paintings found in its caves and ravines. Our neighbors have an odd habit. They are the only ones to use paint for these creations. Motifs vary. Measuring and time estimation systems, anthropomorphic shapes, zoomorphic shapes, geometrical shapes, female and male genitalia ideographs, asexual figures, and footless and bipedal figures. The chap standing by the wall is my friend Nisamar. As you can see, the motifs engraved in the caves, shelters and ravines in the island of Tenerife are very eclectic. There are straight lines, crosses, human figures, sun-shaped figures and game boards aplenty. Unfortunately, it can no longer be seen on site in Tenerife, where it was engraved originally, as it was torn off and ruined as a result of human ignorance and a lack of respect for our culture. These are the petroglyphs found in La Gomera. These kind of lines lacking a specific shape that we can see in the top area are very frequent in La Gomera, just as in Tenerife, being usually found in common shepherding routes. The largest Libyan Berber script panel in the archipelago is the one found in Toscas del Guirre. This is our Auchon, which is the name we give our village. Most daily life activities are carried out outdoors beside our homes. The first is Orajan, the shepherd, and that big goat he's milking is called Idafe. We use everything but the bleach from goats and sheep. We use their meat and milk as a source of food. The bones and horns are used to make many of our tools, and we dress in their fur. The girl standing by the house is my sister, Ateneri. She and Faina devote themselves to the vital task of making our clothing. First, they prepare the material and cut it using obsidian chips. Then, they sew it using needles made of bone and vegetable thread. I'd like to introduce you to Guayayedra now. She's the old lady cooking to the right of the pen. She's the oldest woman in the village. Guayayedra is a great cook and an unbelievable seer. The woman grinding grain beside her is Icod. Although our main livelihood is shepherding, we have also developed noteworthy agricultural activities. Primarily, we grow barley and, to a lesser extent, wheat and some pulses. Once toasted, the grains are crushed in a stone mill such as this one. Can you see the obsidian chips? They are sculpted by hand and, depending on the use they are destined to serve, they are made in different shapes and sizes. We use seashells both as an ornament and to make other implements, such as knives and spoons. With seashell sulfide clay beads, we make necklaces as pretty as this one. These embellishments are not only used for aesthetic purposes, they are also a way to represent the different social classes. Men and women play different roles in our society. Men are mainly charged with shepherding labours, looking after the livestock, ploughing the land for sowing time, and battling in the event of a war. As women are responsible for planting and harvesting, gathering wild fruits, collecting water, cooking and making clothing. Women play an essential role in our village. Looking after the cattle is a tough job. During the summer, in the higher islands like Tenerife, Gran Canaria and La Palma, shepherds take their herds to the peaks. They have shelters there where they can take refuge and leave their supplies, for they can stay away from the village for months at a time. There is no Cid. He's one of our greatest warriors. In fact, his name means warrior in all battles. The cane he's holding in his hand helps him travel with dexterity over a land as rugged as ours. The girl holding the jug is Aridian, who has walked up to the pond to collect water. Her name means many goats or shepherd, and she is very popular indeed due to her ability to climb and negotiate obstacles on the steepest of terrains. This space was our ancestors' village a long time ago. We still have some remains of bones, ceramics, tools and idols. To us, preserving this space in the best possible conditions is really important, for it allows us to know a little bit more about our past and, that way, understand our present. We arrive at the Tagoror as the most important members of the village are gathered. The one in the tall hat is Semidan, a Guanyameñe. The other two are the great warrior Autacuperche and Outindara, a wise shepherd. The Tagoror is the stone circle you see over there. Here, the most relevant issues for the community are discussed and decided upon. In a way, you could say it's a primitive form of democracy, for most members of a village are invited to attend these meetings. Only in the event of a war will the whole community submit to the orders of a single member, the Mensei. The Mensei is our military leader. Belicar is a descendant of Tinerfe the Great, who ruled over the entire island of Tenerife. Before dying, Tinerfe divided the island between his children and, as a result, 9 kingdoms or Menseyatos were born. Belicar is the son of Chincanairo. In the event of a war, he will take the lead to defend the Menseyato. This is Sirdo, our Guanyameñe. He is our greatest spiritual and religious leader. He represents the highest rank of priesthood and holds deep knowledge of the oral tradition. He is also the person in charge of performing healing practices such as trepanation in our tribe. Even the Mensei comes to him seeking his wisdom. He is currently checking which side the first harvest grinding comes out of and how, carefully observing the color and texture of the flour, as this will help predict the upcoming autumnal season. is Unche, or Achikasnai, or mortician. Unche knows everything there is to know about embalming and mummification, and is entrusted with passing on his knowledge to the future generations. His craft being so closely related to blood, he belongs to the lowest social status. Heatherwood, with aromatic and astringent properties, is used to preserve the fabrics and perfume the corpse. With the butter, generally goat's butter and sometimes pork's butter, the body is rubbed for better preservation. Lastly, powdered pumice makes it dry out faster and helps clean its inside. The process is as follows. Firstly, the conscience of the deceased must be washed in cold salty water. Then the corpse is eviscerated. Once this task is over with, the body is rubbed with butter, aromatic plants, pine cork, teak resin and powders made with absorbent materials such as heather and pumice. Next, the corpse is exposed to the sunlight, after which it is time to wrap it up in a shroud. For that purpose, tanned sheep and goat skin are used, overlapped and sewn together with fine straps. If the deceased belong to the social elite, they are normally buried with small grave goods such as stools and ceramic pieces as a means to pay them our respects. It is painstaking work, but the results are unbeatable. According to our religious beliefs, it's important to preserve bodies of the deceased in the best condition possible. To that end, in Tenerife, we have carried out mummification processes on corpses for centuries. This is also a way to make the social relevance of the deceased person apparent and pay homage to them. I should point out that not all dead people are mummified, only those that hold a certain social standing are. Rather than being a common practice to all islands, it's exclusive of Tenerife, Gran Canaria and La Palma. We have reached the end of our tour. This group of engravings is found in El Hierro. We can observe the Libyan Berber alphabetical inscriptions, which show clear parallels with those found in the north of Algeria and Tunisia, as well as geometrical motifs that generally belong to more complex panels and that have similarities with other instances documented in the African Atlas too.